I wish someone would have made this video a lot sooner, but I figure if no one else is going to do it, I might as well. As you already know, it's JR Bissell of Pirate Gold Coins and the Loot Boys. Give me the loot. So this is a video about the top performing assets or collectibles of 2018, along with some of the highest sales of 2018. I know it's September. As everybody knows, collectibles and hard assets are often very successful investments. Great way to hedge your regular investments in the market, which is more risky. Those things are like living organisms. You know, Chipotle can come out with E. coli poisoning the next day, and your stock is just hemorrhaging. The Economist just did an article a little while back, and it took info from the Frank Knight Luxury Investment Index, which claims that rare coins have the highest returns out of any hard asset over the past 10 years, with 195% return. That's 20% a year, which far exceeds the returns of art, which sits in second place at 139%. However, it's important to make the distinction that the amount of volume in the art market far exceeds that of the coin market. For example, there are dozens of paintings over the 100 million marker, and the most expensive coin ever sold was 10 million. Nothing to scoff at, but the scalability to be able to move in those types of numbers and still get 139% return is actually extremely impressive. Here's a picture of the flowing hair dollar that sold for 10 million. And then after that was stamps at 133% return over the past 10 years. To give you a comparison, the S&P did 58% return over the past 10 years, and furniture did negative 32%, just as a random fact. I'm just going to start with the art market. Art had a great year, reaching an all-time record for a living artist. However, I definitely feel the need to bring up the Leonardo da Vinci painting, Salvator Mundi, which sold for an earth-shattering $450 million, far exceeding the previous record held by William de Kooning. Interchanged, which sold for $315 million back in 2015. However, in 2018, Portrait of an Artist, Pool with Two Figures by David Hockney sold by Christie's for $90 million, which has now become the most expensive work by a living artist. However, again, I feel the need to bring up the Jeff Koons Chrome Rabbit, which just sold in 2019 for $91 million, so now that will be the new most expensive piece by a living artist. I did a little research, and I'm pretty sure this rabbit was the one that belonged to this guy, Stefan Eldis, although I do believe that I remember correctly that there was two of these rabbits plus the artist proof, so it could have been the other one. Either way, Stefan purchased his for $950,000 back in the 90s. I'd say $90 million on a $1 million investment is a pretty solid return. Of course, although the level of risk involved in picking the right pieces to invest in is crushingly risky. I mean, you're riding the coattails of Russian oligarchs who are always shifting taste or possibly passing away. Even on the staple note pieces, they're always shifting in regards to returns based on the billionaires that are playing in those pieces. It also seems worth it to bring up the Target painting by Jasper Johns, another piece Stefan purchased for $10 million that is now estimated at over $100 million. Stefan's really someone I study. I also admire him a lot too. He's a Holocaust survivor. He just recently donated over $500 million to the Art Institute of Chicago to be on display for 50 years, which according to the museum is the largest gift in history. All right, well, let's take a look at Whisky. Whisky topped the Knight Frank Luxury Investment Index. One bottle set a world record at 700,000 pounds in October. I'm going to probably botch this name. Valerio Adami from 1926, but that was just beaten 1 month later by another bottle for $1.5 million. It's a hand-painted bottle by Michael Dillon, also Macallan. The Knight Frank Rare Whisky 100 Index, which tracks actual UK auction hammer prices on the top 100 whiskey bottles, increased by almost 40% through 2018, one of the highest increases. However, it wasn't all positive. The bottom 10 bottles also fell by 27%, so the top 90 bottles obviously was able to still pick that gap up. In the world of jewelry, they had an astounding Marie Antoinette pearl pendant hit the market, which sold through Sotheby's for $36 million, which also happens to be the most expensive piece of pearl jewelry ever sold at auction. The most expensive watch sold in auction of 2018 was the 1970 Rolex Daytona Unicorn, sold by Phillips auction for $5.9 million. The HAGI Haggy Top Index for rare classic cars, which includes 50 models from 19 marques, rose almost a whopping 2.5% in 2018, What can you do? Not every marquee even recorded an increase. Porsche fell almost an average of 6.5%. As a result of this, new market entrances who joined 5 years ago have exited, but that has made a lot of opportunities for buyers in the current market. Highlights of the year include the sale of the two 1960 Ferrari 250 GTOs. One in auction sold for $48 million. However, I think it's important to note that the one that sold privately went for $70 million. Kind of interesting. A survey of the HAGI Haggy members revealed that more than 70% of recent transactions were between agreed friends. No new money was allocated to portfolio expansion in 2018, only to upgrade or replace existing holdings. Kind of interesting also. 2018 saw continuing rapid price escalation of Burgundies, driving the Burgundy Index up 33%, also claiming it's likely that the pattern of polarization favoring blue chip wine from top producers will continue, with prices increasing as the wine approaches their drinking windows. The most expensive bottle sold in 2018 was sold by Sotheby's, a bottle of 1945 Romani Conti for $558,000. Stamps. So stamps again performed very well over the past 10 years at 133% return. Mark Cuban and many other heavy-hitting investors attribute their start into investing because of stamps. Mark Cuban bought his first stamp for 50 cents and sold it for $50. And again, he never says he made $49.50. He says he's made 9,900% return. Anyway, so the 1918 inverted flying Jenny took the cake in 2018, selling for $1.6 million. There's approximately 100 in existence. One sold in 2007 for $977,000. And in the wake of 2008, the meltdown, prices on the Flying Jenny took a really big hit. And if you're buying the blood on the streets, you did really well. For example, between January and September of 2014, 5 examples sold for prices ranging between $126,000 and $575,000. And then prices started recovering in 2016 when a nice piece with good centering sold for $1.3 million with the premium. And then in 2018 sold again for $1.5 million. So if you bought the blood during the recession, man, you really came out ahead, all the way down to 126, 575, all the way up to 1.3, 1.5. British Guiana is a very key area to look at in stamps. A 1 cent magenta stamp from 1856. I guess it's the only one of its kind, sold for $9.5 million through Sotheby's back in 2014. So again, coins performed the best over the past 10 years at 195% return across the board. That's 20% a year. That's why I play in the numismatic field, but I specialize in shipwreck treasure from the pirate era. However, no shipwreck treasure broke the records this year. Instead, this Polish gold 100 ducat sold in auction for $2.2 million. If you care to know, though, the most expensive shipwreck coin from the pirate era, or the Holy Grail coin, is the Mexico 1715 Royal. It's dated the year of the fleet. The one I'm showing now is the nicest. However, there's 2 others, but this one in particular sold for $500,000. Diamonds. So colored diamonds had a cool sale this year with the Winston Pink Legacy. It's a 19 karat fancy vivid pink diamond, and it just sold by Christie's for $50 million. The market for fancy colored diamonds seemed pretty optimistic going forward. Prices on all colored diamonds rose slightly on average, even though the Chinese economy slowed down, which did cause a decline in retail transactions for fancy colored diamonds. Blue diamonds were the top performer in 2018, while yellows, they weakened slightly, and pinks remained stable. So furniture at negative 31% almost doesn't even seem worth it to bring up, but just in case you're curious, the 1766 Chippendale with ivory inlays sold in 1991 for £935,000. It went into Christie's auction this year of 2018 with the inlays removed and a reserve amount of £5 million, but it never even sold or hit the reserve price. All right, I know that was a lot of info, but that's a nice snapshot across the board for all investments in collectibles for 2018. For me personally, the coolest thing I was able to pick up was this Hugh Hefner money clip. I ended up getting it for $8.5. I already have an offer for it for $38.5. Turned it down because I haven't even owned it a year yet. But this thing was Oliver Fox's business. Got it from his personal auction collection. I need to have it in my possession for at least a year. Hope all this info was helpful. Keep investing and keep buying cool shit.
We've also got Hefner's engraved money clip. What makes this item so interesting?
Yeah, of course, it's HH, Hugh Hefner, his initials on the money clip, 14 karat gold, beautiful, beautiful piece. And again, just something that's identifiable that you expect from the lifestyle that the Hef lived.
So these are all pretty